Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here on our Tuesday evening, and we've got some showers and storms popping up out there. We do have our weather impact alert starting officially tomorrow morning early and going all the way through Friday evening. But we still should watch the storms that we have out there right now. I think actually all in all today is just one of our drier days. That doesn't mean we won't see any rain, and we have some on the radar right now, so we'll start with that. I do want to talk about the rain. We'll talk about the tropical implications. We'll show you some of the models here as well, and then we'll get you into a little bit more of a forecast, show you some of the futurecast models. So first things first, our weather impact alert tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. I do think Friday looks to be a little bit drier at this time. Tomorrow and really Thursday seem to be the big points that we're going to see all of the rainfall coming through. And that's the main threat from this, right? It's just scattered. Not even everybody's going to see rain. But the amount of moisture in the atmosphere is increasing, and a lot of what you see out there in the Gulf is going to be pushing eastward. And so it's going to get a little rainy around here, and the ones that we do see are going to be on the heavier side. So that's the concern. Now, the frontal boundary is still to the north. We're watching for this thing to come in here, and it's going to be a little while. It's going to be until really tomorrow night into Wednesday, but you can see it now. It's across the Mississippi. It's going to come through Atlanta later tonight. They're going to have some showers and storms. But look, this is 83, 85 degree water, right? And it's hurricane season. You don't want something like this sitting out here. So we're keeping an eye on it. This has been flaring up the last several days. Hopefully it continues to fall apart. The models tend to think that something very, very weak may develop out here. But again, we got to watch something as long as we get in this position here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the rain that's out there now. This is the current radar, and you can see the areas along the immediate coast are actually going to stay, I think, relatively dry, because most of where this line is in central Hernando and central Pasco County there, that will be working its way to the north and the northeast. And so these inland locations, Polk County, Hardy, DeSoto, Highland, seeing the rain now, you have the best chance to see it. A lot of this is falling apart. Still not completely dry overnight tonight. We will see some scattered showers and storms along the coast overnight tonight. However, it's just going to be kind of small stuff that's moving through, right? The heating of the day, we still have that out there now. That's why some of these storms are a little bit on the stronger side. You can see Spring Hill now doing with a pretty good little thunderstorm there. It's not a lot of lightning, and it's certainly not like the hail setup that we had last week. If you remember all of that, we don't have that going on. But we do have some pretty good downpours. And again, it's rainfall more than anything else. These showers just started, but already the rainfall is estimated over 2 inches. And that's it. That's the crux of all of this, okay? And we even have more moisture coming in tomorrow and Thursday, like from the ground all the way up. And so when storms like this move over top of your area Wednesday and Thursday, then you're going to end up 2-3 inches of rainfall out of it. And that's the reason for our weather impact alert. Okay, so let's go down a little bit further to the south. Manatee County, we'll get to you in a minute. I want to get into Hillsborough here. A little bit of a light shower that's pushing across Ybor City area up towards Gibsonton. It's kind of clearing that area now. Not much left. The atmosphere's cooled off a little bit there. I don't think we see a whole lot here in Pinellas. We had the frontal boundary, or the Gulf Coast sea breeze was sitting here. And now that's kind of fallen apart with some storms that had fallen on it earlier. So we're pretty much looking pretty quiet there. Now you get into Polk County, and look what's happening. See these two green lines come together, then poof, watch that develop right in there. Poof. That's those outflow boundaries coming together. And that's kind of what we're watching for. The atmosphere is more settled over here in the west, so that means these will fire up some more showers and thunderstorms out towards Bartow and Winter Haven over the next half hour to an hour or so. Hardy and DeSoto County, this line's filling in, and that's going to affect 17 going all the way down from Wauchula to Arcadia. And that's going to put a good 1 to 1.5 inches of rainfall down. All right, nothing terrible, but if you live in an area that tends to flood a little bit, yeah, that might be the time you're going to have to deal with that. Over into Highlands County, we don't have a whole lot at this particular point, but you can see it's filling in, and showers with a couple of thunderstorms embedded in the mix will be in there for the next half hour or so. Now, let's talk about the Bay Area once again. So it looks dry, right? The coastal area is pretty dry. That includes Manatee, Sarasota, this rain. Look at this rain falling off right offshore. I mean, it's just falling right apart. That doesn't mean we're done for the night. I do think we'll have a small 20% chance for a shower for the overnight hours, but that should just about cover it. Now, here comes the front. This is the forecast model, and I'm just going to show you the European model. It does a little bit better, I think, compared to the GFS especially. But this is Thursday, 1 o'clock, and you can see the front's getting pretty close to the coast. we're interested when this front gets out over here over water. Okay, it's already getting there up to the north. This is Thursday at 1 o'clock. Take a look at Friday morning. And the Europeans saying, oh, a little weak low, but it's out over the water now. And then watch as we get into Friday night, Saturday night. That's Saturday, 9 p.m. European has some kind of rotation. You see that's very weak, very broad. Not a whole lot right here. The GFS is starting to try and put something right here. But a lot of the models, the ensembles, are popping something somewhere over here. Very weak, most of them at least. Okay, so that is Saturday at 9 p.m. And now we're really just kind of talking tropics more than anything else. If you notice, watch this movement. Whatever develops is going to be drifting really slow. I'm looking, let me show you. I'm looking in this area right in here. Watch this area right in here, because this thing is going to sit here, kind of drift here, and then maybe actually get blown right back down into Florida by Monday as just a rainmaker more than anything else, okay? So this Saturday, see it kind of drifts to the north towards South Carolina maybe, and then you get into Sunday, Monday. It's very close to the coast Monday morning, Carolina coast, and then kind of maybe moves on shore or it hangs out. But that's Saturday through Monday night. It's just kind of lingering out here off the southeast coastline. The models aren't sure exactly what's going to happen. There's some wind shear over top of all of that. That's going to make it hard for that to form. So you may end up with just like what we call a spinner sometimes. You just get a lot of low-level clouds with a low that's formed, but you don't get a lot of convection with it, right? And not a lot of wind in that case. That is still where we're trying to figure out what the models want to do, okay? Now, this is our local forecast, and so I want to show you that because this is where you're going to run into your work commute, right? Coming home tonight, tomorrow morning especially. Let's go from 4:30 now through about 7 o'clock, okay? Look at the coastal sections, much drier. And remember all those rains that are here? Well, those showers are now working their way inland. Now we go through the overnight hours. This is about 11 o'clock. That's about 2 in the morning. Not dry, okay, because we have this onshore wind. You see these wind arrows blowing like this? Especially when you have a lot of moisture out here, you're going to start blowing in a few showers. So we will have some showers. And in fact, watch this. I think we get a shower, even a thunderstorm, 4, 5, 6 in the morning tomorrow morning. So the morning commute, 8:30, we have showers in the area. We have a couple of thunderstorms. Not everybody's seeing rain, but the radar will be active. Mike will be here first thing in the morning to get you updated on that. I would expect at least to see some rain, and so it will affect that morning commute just a little bit. Now that's the rapid refresh model. It's high resolution. Let's jump ahead. Tomorrow morning around 10 a.m., and you can see the rain still moving on shore. Now, any sunshine we see tomorrow, which won't be a lot, but we will see a little bit, as that temperature rises, that's more energy to make storms. So the water will be about 84, 85 degrees, okay? And in fact, it'll be even warmer than that right near us. But the land here will go down to about 78, so the water's warmer than the land. So you're going to get a lot of stuff developing over the water overnight. And then it's going to flip-flop a little bit. We're going to warm up tomorrow, and that's going to get our showers and storms going. So we will have some rain in the morning, but then we're going to also get better coverage of showers and storms in the afternoon when we heat up. And that's what this is. This is noon on Wednesday. And you can see that that's a pretty good line of storms coming through the area. Watch as we go through the late afternoon hours. One line moves through, you get a break, second line develops and comes through. Each one of those lines could put down 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. Notice, by the way, look at this little spin that's happening out here. Don't worry about that. The little mezzo low, I like to call those, but that thing's spinning and it falls apart. This is 3 a.m. Thursday morning. This is 7 a.m. Thursday morning. Still have this little weak low trying to develop out here. It's just pinwheeling moisture in our direction, all the way down to Marco Island, Fort Myers, okay? That is 11:30 in the morning on Thursday. You see the rain coming in. Look, it's a little bit more to the south now than it was Wednesday, but we still have some showers all the way up towards Crystal River, okay? Jacksonville's starting to see a little bit of dry air trying to work its way in late Thursday night. You see that rain coming through? It's coming through out of the north for them, out of the north and northwest. Our winds will go a little bit more to the northwest. That's Thursday around 6:30. We still have some rain in the area, so kind of on and off. But then look at that's a big difference right there. 7 a.m. on Friday morning. Look at all this dry air trying to work its way in. There's the rain down south. That's 4th of July. And that's as far out as this model goes for right now. It goes out about 64 hours or so. So that is... I still think we get afternoon showers and thunderstorms on the 4th of July, especially Tampa southward. It's still too early. I know it's Tuesday night, but it's still too early to give a forecast really for the 4th. The good news is the further north you live of Tampa, the drier the forecast does look. All right, and this has been consecutive model runs here throughout the afternoon hours today. All right, so I'm feeling better about that. But here's the coverage for the afternoon. So you can see Friday, yeah, but notice how it's darker down here down south and it's lighter up to the north. That's an indication that, yeah, we'll get some scattered showers initially, then everything moves to the south. Saturday, that is typical afternoon shower and thunderstorm activity, 50 to 60%. Go about 50% on Sunday, does look a little bit drier. This all hinges, Saturday and Sunday hinge on what happens out in the east of Florida, in the Atlantic, right off the southeast coast. If we do get any kind of weak system developing and trying back to the west-southwest across the state, that would increase the rain chances a little bit. Right now, the forecast model is not really seeing too much of that. It's just something I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Now, the dark greens you see here, this is a lot of moisture. All right? Watch these numbers. These are the number totals for Tampa itself. Anything over 1.75, and that's when we can get enough moisture in the atmosphere to give us those afternoon showers and thunderstorms when you have high humidity and dew points down at the surface, right? You heat up and you boil up those storms. That's kind of rainy season number. Watch where this number goes. Over 2 inches. And it's been saying close to about 2.3 inches, which is a lot of moisture, meaning those afternoon storms that pop up have more water to throw down on you. And that's why we have our weather impact alert, okay? So this is Wednesday at 7 p.m. Let's go out to Thursday at 4 p.m. Look at that, 2.24. So that's a high number. That is a lot of moisture over top of us. But notice the oranges out over the Gulf. And that's going to try and pull in a little bit of drier air and wrap behind it. This is what time? 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. Still a lot of moisture around Friday afternoon. That's 8 o'clock. That's fireworks time. Still a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, but it is drying up. And then you can see what's happening on Saturday. That's Saturday afternoon. Look at South Florida versus North Florida. And then Sunday, see, it's just kind of iffy on what happens on Sunday. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, let's talk rainfall. This is actually the European model. And this one, you know, some of these reds you see in here, this is through Sunday night at 9 o'clock. That's about 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. And I think that's legit. I think that's a pretty good call. This purple that you see in here is about 2. Maybe some spots will get more than that. But keep in mind, one thunderstorm can put down 2 to 3 inches of rain. So trying to forecast, it's like water bubbling up at the bottom of the pot when you're boiling water, right? My job is trying to figure out where those bubbles are going to pop up, which is almost impossible if we didn't have sea breezes, the bay, the Gulf, and outflow boundaries. Those all help us figure out where that's going to focus the storms, okay? When you're looking at this far out through Sunday and figure out where all these storms are going to put down rain, it's more of a big broad brush than anything else. But 3 to 4 inches, I think we could get that in many locations. Not everybody, but certainly could get that much. This is from the Weather Prediction Center. Their numbers are higher. They're still about 4 to almost 6. This orange is a good 4.5 to 5 inches. This number has come down just a little bit, but it actually looks like it's spread inland a little bit more. They've kind of broad brushed it as well. So anyways, that's the main issue that we'll have to deal with is the heavier rainfall. As a result, we had this excessive rainfall outlook. This kind of backs up everything that I've been talking about here, that we're going to be looking at some more rain. This is today, and you notice how we're seeing the development now down south, and it kind of covers for that. This is tomorrow, and tomorrow it's got this moisture really coming down from off the panhandle and then slowly rotating southward through the Big Bend area, through Nature Coast, and eventually into Tampa Bay. And then on Thursday, that's when we have the heaviest rainfall. All right, we've got more moisture to work with altogether. We'll get quite a bit of it pushing on shore. Friday, you can see it now, it sinks a little bit further towards the south. And then on Saturday, it goes a little bit further to the south then as well. Okay, so we'll be watching for that. The European forecast model, I want to take this out in time for you because I'm trying to watch and see tropical development. Let's look at it that way. Not a lot here. Nothing really here yet. Okay, this is Wednesday. I don't expect really anything until Friday more than anything else. So here we go. Let's go out to Friday evening. Starting to get more. Look, winds are going to be blowing offshore the East Coast, but by Friday, look at this. It's coming onshore. At the same time, over here, it's going offshore. So you're getting something very weak forming in here, okay? You still don't have a whole lot going on out here as far as the European's concerned. Now look at this. Now it's got something right in here, maybe something right in here. All right, so this is Saturday. How much of this moisture gets thrown back on top of us? That's the question. That's why I say Saturday and Sunday are still kind of a heads up. And then let's go out to Sunday. That's Sunday afternoon. Now look, the latest run's got a closed low here. So it's just kind of meandering here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I bet you, watch this, I'm going to go slow. This is going to try and take this off to the north. See that? Going up towards the Carolinas by the time we get towards Monday evening. All right, that would pull the moisture away from us if that happens. Yeah, you see what looks like a little bit of a low on the west side of us. It's just a closed off low, but it's nothing. That's high pressure more than anything else. So the European all day today, even part of this morning, the ensemble runs, which is, I just showed you one run of the forecast model, right? The ensembles run at least about 31, depends on what you're looking at. And they tweak the beginning of the model just a little bit, some of the physics, some of the input to it, and they run it, and it runs a little bit differently. And then that way, you can plot all 31 over top of each other, and it'll show you a low here, a low here, a low here, a low here. It doesn't mean that you're going to get all that many lows. But what it means is that you're going to have a better chance of something, one of them, forming in that particular area. The European model has been suggesting that that's out here, east of Florida. Okay, and that's been the trend, even started really last night, but certainly all day today, that's been the trend. The GFS is kind of over here, but then it started kind of doing the same thing over here east. So let's look at the GFS model, okay? We're going to go out now through, what is this? This is the 4th. This is Friday. So you see, yeah, a little weak low here, which actually just helps to throw more moisture on. And to be honest with you, the European seems like it's trying to do that too. A little meso low maybe. But what's happening here? Nothing much, no closed low just yet. But now we come out through Saturday morning early. Got a little low maybe west of us. Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning. And so there we are Sunday morning, maybe a weak low here. What's here? This looks like a little bit more of something here with heavier rainfall on the north side. Notice though, this is the only thing that's closing off a low, and that would be lower pressure, right? But that's it. And you can almost make out the old boundary. And that's early Monday morning. Okay, still sitting there. So, and you can see, by the way, this yellow that you see here is the hurricane center, and they say 30% chance. Notice there's not as much room over here as there is over here. Okay, so they're kind of biding along with these models as well. And then that takes us out in the next week. Things will be getting back to normal as we move through next week. So let's talk wind real fast. This is the European forecast right now, the model. Not seeing a whole lot of wind. In fact, I wanted to point out the direction because right now it's blowing in this direction, something like this. Okay, and then actually maybe moving a little bit further up that way. And then we can go into Thursday at 5 p.m., not a lot of wind. You can see a little bit kind of coming on shore down here. We're going to have about 10 to 20 mile per hour winds overnight tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going moderate chop out there on the bay. It's a little choppy out there on the Gulf right now. We're going to keep that through at least Thursday evening, if not through Friday. Watch as we go through Friday afternoon. That's about 6 o'clock. The winds actually start to come down a little bit, okay? So at least through Thursday. But notice what's happening. By that time, in the Jacksonville area, the winds are now coming in from the northeast. They were the opposite direction. And this, again, is the Euro, and I showed you this earlier, trying to put some kind of rotation right in here, right? And so that's Friday, Saturday. Look at these winds picking up out here. And this is the very latest run, and that's more wind than I've seen so far. That's upwards of 30 knots out there, which is going to push some water up against Jacksonville's coast, put it up in the river as well. Not a whole lot, but tides will be running high. There's where the model thinks the center is, right? Very broad, very disorganized. Ton of shear coming in from the north, just coming in like this, okay? So that's going to make it harder to form. But then look, there it is. This thing basically went down here, came down here, now is right back up by Sunday. And then it's going to drift to the north. You see it coming up towards the Wilmington area and basically weakens. So this model sees something there, but it doesn't do much with it until maybe, look, it's trying to pull it together by Tuesday as it's pulling away. Not a Florida problem, at least not a Tampa problem for sure. They will have to watch for some higher than the normal tides over on the East Coast. All right, let's do the GFS. This is Saturday, 1 o'clock. What do we have here? what do we have here? And something here. Okay, let's go through Saturday night, Sunday into Sunday afternoon. Now it's got something here. Less of a low here. It's got a weak low, but that makes sense to me. All right, just with all this moisture that's been sitting out there, that makes sense. This is probably more of the concern. And again, I'd like to see something like this just because it's more in agreement with the European model, give us an idea that the models are kind of coming together here. And then as we go through Monday, again, more activity out here. But notice, you know, the European had wind going this way. This is going that way. So it's completely opposite. And it just doesn't really have a low forming out there. Now let's go out into Tuesday, Monday into Tuesday. And we'll see, it's trying to maybe drift this a little bit further off to the north, but not much going on there. Here's all that shear I was talking about, and that is Saturday. Remember, we'll be talking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, out over the Atlantic, just east of Florida, and look where all of our wind shear is. Okay, and that's going to tend to blow the top. Those thunderstorms try and grow up, and those tops just get blown off by that wind shear, and the storm just can't get strong. And that shear is going to stick around, we think, as we go through Sunday. And now into Monday and Tuesday is a little less in this area. Right, and if you notice, one of the models did try and strengthen just a little bit. Maybe that happens, but again, that's off the Carolinas at that particular time. All right, so that's where we're sitting at right now. Tomorrow we will have our weather impact alert. Temperatures are going to stay basically in the mid-80s. I think we can get a little bit warmer than that in some spots because I do think we'll see at least some sunshine. But rain chance is really going to be jumping up as we go into the afternoon hours. Our 7-day forecast shows rain chance about 80% for tomorrow. We're going to go 90% on Thursday, and then on Friday, still going to go 70%, but I think that's the first half of the day. The second half of the day will be Tampa southward. And so that gets into the fireworks time. So the further north you are again on Friday, the better off I think you're going to be. The weekend, we do not at this point have any weather impact alerts for the weekend, but it's something we'll have to keep our eye on because we may end up getting a little bit more rain, especially by Sunday, depending on what the system wants to do, if there's anything east of us. But for me, both Saturday and Sunday are more typical afternoon shower and thunderstorm activity, okay? Especially when you're talking about all the stuff that's in the Gulf of Mexico. All right, so don't forget, guys, my Facebook page, Bobby Deskins Weather. You can find me there. I'm on YouTube, Bobby D Weather X, something like that. Just search Bobby Deskins for all the social platforms. I have on my YouTube more in the way of deeper dives into the models and showing you what that kind of looks like. And I like to do that at least once a day in these situations because then you can compare the difference from day to day to day. And I can tell you what we're seeing, what we're thinking, and then the next day comes along and say, yeah, you know, okay. Right now we're thinking maybe a little bit better chance for some tropical development, which is still low, 30%, that's it. But it looks like now it's more out over the Atlantic than the Gulf. And we'll watch the overnight model runs come in and see if that is the same as we get into tomorrow as well. So if you have any questions, please hit me up there, all of my socials, all that kind of stuff. I'll be checking those throughout the evening hour, of course. One last time to get you back out here to the radar. I do expect these storms to be pushing inland as we move through the rest of the afternoon, so it's not a complete rain out along the immediate coast. This will be interesting to watch tonight. All right, that's going to be interesting to see how that works out there. But what happens is you'll see a couple spins out here, maybe a spin in here. We're expecting that to look similar to what it is right now. We're not expecting development, but if you look at that, you're like, looks kind of interesting. All right, now Hernando, Citrus County, 1 to 1.5 inches, and some of the heavier downpours that you can see here. Otherwise, about less than an inch or so for that. As you're working your way southward, this is mainly going to be along I-75 and inland once we get into Hillsborough County. And you see this green line here. This is an old outflow boundary, and you can see it sparking a few showers here, Willow Oak and Lakeland area. So do expect the Polk County area to fill back in. And look at Hardy, DeSoto, and Highlands County. You guys